Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm PJ Noodleman, joined by my co-host from the Midwest Racing Connection. It is Dan Plan. Hello, Dan.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. You just got back from New Smyrna.
Yeah, it was a kind of a planes, trains, and automobiles kind of day. It was my flight got postponed about 9 hours, so I ended up booking a different one and had to transfer in Detroit. So yeah, I just got home about a half hour ago.
Ooh. Good times, good times. Traveling is fun. Well, we should note we are actually recording this on Wednesday, February 15th. So it will be dropping on the 21st, next Tuesday. So all three of us actually are watching New Smyrna on another screen while we're recording, because that's who we are. And by all three of us, I mean our guest for this week, none other than Casey Johnson. Hello, Casey.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. Holy free holies, look at all those trophies. That looks badass.
Yeah, that's my wife's little setup for me. I told her we had this going on tonight, so she made a nice little display behind me here.
I love it. It looks great. It looks great. What has been your biggest crowning moment in your opinion? I mean, what race that you won was just like, yes?
Man, I don't know. Oktoberfest has to be right up there. We won the 200 lapper a couple of years ago, or even the Joe Shear Classic. One of those two, I would say, are very high on the list. The Milwaukee Mile is really cool as well. I mean, in the time and place that you do it, they're all the coolest, you know. So it's really hard to just pick one.
Tell everybody about that trophy there off to your left, the eagle there.
Oh, the eagle, yeah. So that was actually a rain shortened short track championships down at Rockford. I got the lead of the races for the halfway break, and it started pouring. And well, obviously, I was doing a little rain dance, and it must have worked. But no, that's definitely one of the cooler ones.
What is one event that you have yet to win that you just want to get it knocked off your bucket list?
Slinger Nationals is very high on the list. I finished second once, finished third like 3 times. I mean, we've been close a lot. We're either really close to winning it or we're just terrible. It's one or the other. We're never really in the middle, but that's very high on my list.
You know, you're talking about the Rockford trophy, having a short track championship trophy and an Oktoberfest trophy. There's not a lot of guys that have both of those in their possession, and the list is going to end for the short track championship. So it's kind of cool to have one of those in your possession.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to, I think we got 3 of them, and we knew the day was coming for Rockford Speedway. Unfortunately, I think they fought long and hard to keep that place around. Mrs. Deary did everything she could to do so. And, you know, I think we're all going to miss it. Obviously, there's really no other place like it.
And that's not too far for you to go to race. Do you plan to head to Rockford much this season in its final lap?
Well, it never seems to be on my schedule, but once that time of year comes around, we figure out how to throw a car together that we're not too scared to knock the front end off of and go down there and race.
Oh man, that is so factual right there. That's some serious facts. So do you have your schedule together for 2023?
I mean, for the most part, we do. We were kind of throwing around the idea of running the Stars Tour, stuff like that, but I think we're going to hit quite a few of them, but we're not going to be able to make that whole schedule. But we're definitely going to do the Midwest Tour, Live for 5 at the Dells, and then we like to hit a lot of specials, you know. So it'll be a full schedule again, but it's not 100% complete, but it will be here in the next few weeks.
Nice. Well, we look forward to taking a look at that and marking some races down on our calendars as well too. You are always a threat to win wherever you go. And you've been that way. And I know you surround yourself with a lot of good people too, but what is the Casey Johnson secret sauce?
Man, I don't know. A lot of hard work, I guess, realistically. I mean, when we started off, it was just me and my dad and lots of hours in the shop trying to learn these cars. And, you know, as we're learning the cars together, I'm learning stuff on the track, and we've always had our nose down grinding, and we just never really stopped. And then I was introduced to a lot of people in the sport, a lot of really smart people. So I was able to pick up more and more things as the years went on, and we'd run more and more races. And I feel like the more you're in a race car, the better you're going to be. And, you know, there were years we ran 50, 60 races. So I think that helped a lot along the way as well.
Did your dad race too?
My dad did. He ran Jefferson Speedway back in the 80s and early 90s and stuff like that. And then he quit for a long time. And then he bought a late model and he got back into it when I was about 12 years old, I would say. And he never really was much of a front runner, but he just didn't have the equipment. But when I turned 16, he let me jump in his late model, and the rest is really history.
Tell me about that first race that you did at 16. What was that like?
I remember it plain as day. I remember the heat race. So I didn't qualify all that good. I was in the slow heat, and I sailed her off in turn 3 at Jefferson. And my dad said you could see everybody back away from the fence as I was trying to pass the guy in front of me because I overdrove it so bad. He said everybody just backed up because they thought I was fencing the thing. But it stuck, and I did win the race. But I think that year, me and my dad straightened the front clip on that car 3 times. So
Oh my,
definitely some learning going on there.
that's awesome.
One of the things I've noticed in the past few years too is when you're not racing, you're helping somebody. I know it was a couple years ago where you were with Jeremy Miller and that bunch down at New Smyrna that year. So I was thinking maybe Jeremy should retire more often too, because he won several races down there after retiring.
Yeah, every time he retires, he seems to win quite a few, doesn't he? So no, he's the Brett Favre of racing. That's what I call him. But no, if I'm not driving, I do like to be around it. It's just I know on Friday nights when I'm not racing, me and my wife try to have a planned date night. We end up over at Madison Speedway watching the races. It's just part of who we are as a family, and just like being around it.
Is it hard for you to watch and not be racing?
I hate it. I absolutely hate watching racing. Actually, I like watching dirt late models. That's my favorite thing to watch. But like if I go to a super late race, my legs will be shaking. I cannot stand watching other people do it. So
That's funny. Speaking of dirt, have you ever raced on dirt, or have you ever had a desire to do that?
in my days with John Beal Racing, he actually rented 2 midgets for us to race out at Angel Park. So I do have some dirt experience, but they were not the best cars in the world by no means. There were some some junkers, but we had an absolute blast. So yeah, no, I raced a midget one night out in Angel Park.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. It was so different, and like I don't race with mirrors either, so I rely on my spotter. Well, in dirt, you don't have a spotter, and you don't have mirrors, so I mean, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. It's a whole different experience. But I definitely love to run a dirt late model once before I hang her up anyway.
Casey, I was also going to ask you about your daughters. They are very central, and they're all very colorful characters in their own right. So what's that like, knowing that you've got that big of a heart of cheerleaders right there every night at the track when you're racing? Do you keep them in your mind when you're racing too, or are you like all on it?
No, when I'm racing, I'm all on it. But before and after, they're all you can think about. So I know they're going to be up at the fence before we start, and I know if I win, they're going to be the first ones down there. So no, they're a huge part of my racing. I don't know if they've missed more than 2 races. Honestly, my oldest daughter's 8 years old, and like I say, I think she's missed 2 races of mine. So we try to make it a family sport. When we go traveling, we'll figure out something to do with the kids. If we go to the Dells, we do the water park hotels. We always try to make it a more than just dad's going racing on the weekends. Try to make it a family thing.
I love that.
Are you getting them into racing now too?
There's a bandolero in the garage. My daughter Kenzie, the oldest one, we practiced a couple times out of Jefferson last year, and she wants to race this year. She said she's not practicing anymore. She's going racing. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice. That's a great opportunity for a package sponsorship deal then.
Yeah, there you go.
For dad and daughter.
Yeah,
That's a good one. In regards to the daughters, I don't know if you ever saw this little bit of science. This is just a little fun nugget, but I read somewhere that men who undergo tremendous G forces tend to produce female daughters or female kids. So there you are with 3 of them. So you must be going really fast, Casey.
Yeah, that's got to be it. So I don't know where they come up with these facts, but hey, there might be something to it.
Good stuff. Talk a little bit about your relationship with your crew chief, Travis.
Oh, I mean, so we've always had a good relationship, even on the track, and I think that's kind of what stemmed us into teaming up. We've always raced good against each other, and then one day just came in an off season. He's like, "Hey, before you figure out your plans, give me a call. I'd like to run some races." And really, from the get-go, we hit the ground running. We got good team chemistry, and it seems like every year we run together, we just get stronger and stronger. And hopefully this year will be the same way. I know we got some new drivers in the lineup as well with me, but I think we'll have a pretty successful season again.
Talk a little bit more about the lineup of drivers.
So in the last couple of years, I've done a driver development thing where I have a kid driving for me, and then Travis actually built another car so he can do the same. So this year I'm kind of the backup quarterback. Realistically, we got Bubba Pollard coming up, and he's going to run a lot of the big races up here, and then he's going to run the whole Stars Tour. And I know Travis, he's going to go to like Winchester and Redbud and stuff with him. But for like the Joe Shear Classic, Slinger Nationals, Dixieland 250, we'll be teammates actually up here, me and Bubba Pollard.
I love it. That's awesome. Have
Yeah.
you and Travis ever recently gotten in and just done like a little grudge match behind the wheel, even at go-karts?
No, nothing like that. Last year at Fest, he was going to race the, it's not the Future Race. They call it the Knights Race. That's what it was. He was going to run that. Well, they actually said he was only going to run 10 laps of it because he'd get tired, but he wanted to qualify. That was Travis's big thing. He's always been a hell of a qualifier. And so he wanted to qualify, and then he figured he could make her 10 laps before his legs went numb, he said. So that was his plan, but it rained out that night, actually.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Talk a little bit about your wife. I mean, there are some incredibly supportive spouses in racing, and she definitely has your back on social media and even at the track. And I don't know, I love that stuff. That just makes me giggle. I like that she's got your back. That's a pretty cool relationship you got there.
Oh yeah, she's got my back. She, you're always going to have hecklers, and you're going to have your fans of other drivers and things like that. And I always let it slide because there's always another race. But she makes sure they know that she saw it. But she's always been my biggest supporter. And she not only with taking care of that stuff, but the household. When I'm gone racing all summer long, I mean, she's the one that takes care of everything for the kids. If I need something, she's the not only a cheerleader, but she's like the quarterback of this household. So she's definitely the main supporter here.
Has she ever raced?
No, she comes from a racing family though. Her dad, he ran a sportsman out at Jefferson Speedway for many years. That's actually where we met. I was racing out there, and her dad was actually watching, and her cousin spotted for me at the time, and then that's how we met. When I was 18 years old, we met, so we've been together a long time.
Wow. Did you know immediately, this is the girl I'm going to marry?
Yeah, I don't know if it was immediately, but it definitely didn't take long to figure out she's going to stick around. I mean, it's hard to find a girl to deal with a racer's lifestyle, honestly. And she's never batted an eye at it. She's always supported me. And I mean, it didn't take long to know she was the one.
For sure. I've always had this rule of thumb for people who are looking for someone. Don't meet a girl at the bar, meet her at the track before you go to the bar, because the ones you meet at the bar sometimes are a little left field, no glove. And I mean that in a nice way, but you did it the right way.
On the other, but I told my daughters to never find a husband at the racetrack. Let's just steer out of there. So but we'll see if they listen.
That's funny. Now, you mentioned your oldest daughter is ready to go racing this year. Do you think the younger two are going to follow suit?
Well, I hope that little one doesn't, because I tell you what, I'll be buying fenders and body panels left and right, because she's just a wild kid. I don't know how that would go, but I know she's going to try it. My middle one, she's a little bit more reserved, but she's already asked to drive her sister's Bandolero. So I don't know if we'll have a fleet of 3 of them things out there or not, but we're going to find out shortly.
That's exciting stuff. You have a lot going on in your life. I mean, you are also obviously a father, as we're talking about the kids, but you do a really good job of balancing all of that. I mean, when we were trying to line up to do this interview, you had a basketball game that you were going to try to get in. So how do you balance and juggle all of that? And I know your wife obviously plays a huge role in trying to do air traffic control, but you work a full-time job too. That doesn't necessarily have regular ham and egger hours.
Yeah, no, I mean, our work schedule is hit or miss. You can work 8 hours, you work 12 hours. We just never know. But like you said, she organizes everything. I try to make any function that I can of the kids. But, in the wintertime, it's a lot easier. Once summer starts, it's going to be go, because Kenzie's already wanting to do softball and soccer. We just signed him up for soccer for spring. I mean, it's going to get wild here as they get older, but I don't know, Dad might have to back down the racing schedule just a little bit, and then just to get to all their functions.
Well, I don't think anybody really wants to see that happen. So hopefully you guys can work all of that out. Do you have plans to do any kind of big traveling at all this year for any of the races on your schedule?
Well, actually, our first race of the year, we're actually planning on going down to the Rattler. So we'll do some traveling there. I'd like to get back to Nashville. We were having a real good run there last year and kind of want to just take another crack at that. We led a lot of laps. We always try to find, 3 or 4 races out of state that we can go hit and have some fun at. Because that was kind of the main frame of what me and Travis wanted to do. I've always raced Midwestern types based stuff. And Travis did the ASA national stuff. Travel and all that. And he wanted to get back to that. So he kind of introduced me to a lot of new tracks I've never been to before.
And I should probably not assume everybody who watches this will know that we're talking about Travis Dassow. We haven't really said his last name. We all act like we know everybody, and we do, but maybe somebody else watching doesn't. So you have not been to the Rattler before. So this is your first foray, yes?
Yeah, it'll be the first time down there. Obviously Travis has been down there, so he's got a little bit of experience to know what to expect. But yeah, I'll be going in kind of shooting from the hip, but usually we can get up to speed relatively quick. I know in those races like that, you're looking for those little things for long run speed that I'm going to kind of have to guess on what I need there, but hopefully we can hit it.
Well, they definitely have plenty of practice for that one. So hopefully I was going to ask you your opinion on that as well, too. Some of these short track races have a lot of practice time, which means if you're going to really take advantage of it, you're going to go through a lot of tires, a lot of fuel, a lot of hotel rooms if you're out of town. What is your thought on that whole practice days?
I hate it. I believe that's where dirt's got us by the ringer there. I think, there's some teams that have, unlimited resources, but more often than not, the guys that stay home is because of them extra practice days and the extra tires and the extra wear and tear in your car. And it's not like you just can't go, because those 25 teams that are there, they just got the upper hand on you, and it's really hard to claw back on them, with not having as much track time.
I would agree with that. And actually, so would my husband, Toby. He's actually said that before too. We're our own worst enemy as short trackers by doing all this. But yet at the same time, he's like, well, if they're going to offer it, I'm going to do it. But
you're always going to learn, but like I say, it's just the added expense to the sport is just nothing that we need.
Agreed on that. Well, that wraps up the interview. And speaking of Toby, he actually, when he found out I was going to have you on the podcast, he's like, I got a question for him. And I was like, oh, come on. What? And then when he said what it was, I'm like, I am not asking him that. He says, yes, you can ask him that. Make it the last question.
Oh boy.
So here we go. And you're going to just look at me like I'm an idiot when I say this. He wanted to know if you were willing to share your setup notes.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, I had to ask him that. I drove that Toby car earlier in the year, and I was on the phone from left and right. He said it's only fair to exchange notes, right?
He's so funny.
Yeah, he'll have to shoot me a text. I'll just send him right over everything I
got. Hilarious. Don't have to hold him to that, but I had to ask because he watches all of these after we get done. I don't usually let him anywhere near me when we're recording because I figured he'd be sticking his nose in here, but he managed to do that on yours when he knew that you were coming up. So anyway, we really appreciate you, Casey, taking time to join us on here. Good luck in 2023. Love to see you bring the Rattler Trophy back to Wisconsin and collect more trophies for your man cave there. That looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for having me on.